Welcome back to Becoming a Published Author is Fun. If you don't understand that, then just go out and check episode 8 where I explain it. Today we are in episode 46 and we're looking at AI for content. Now, just as a recap, I recently published Ron's blog. That's a blog that I maintain on a weekly basis. And the title was, Is AI a Useful Tool? And I looked at different things. And I'm going to continue this today, and I'll probably have some more coming up in the future, in which I'm looking at different ways that AI can be a useful tool for writers. So this one, we're looking at content. So what is content? Well, first of all, I want you to say that I want you to pay attention, but I want you to remember these, tread lightly on this. You're getting into some dangerous territory here, and so you want to be very, very careful. So here we have it. We have plot, the plot of your book. Plots are very important. You may not have one written down, you may have it in your head, but wherever you have it, you have a plot. And that sort of acts as a guide for you in your writing of your book, the story flow, the storyline. You have characters in your story. So we're talking about AI helping you out with characters. You have scenes. Every chapter of your book has scenes in it. And these can be long or short. You can use AI in developing your scenes. It's the same thing with chapters, which is a chapter is basically one long scene if you want to think of it that way. You're going to see me use this term here, check and verify. You're going to see me use that a lot in this episode, and there's some good reasons why. So you may have actually heard me in a recent episode. I talked about Jane Friedman and the fact that AI was used to write books in her name using her style, and they published them and were making money off them. They were selling them. So she didn't get a dime of that. Why? Because she didn't write it. She had nothing to do with it. What happened was somebody had AI take and examine her books, copy her style, put the book out there in her name, using the template that she uses for her books and so forth, and they purported it to be one of hers, and then they sold it that way. And she discovered it and managed it after I don't know how long it took, but it was sounds like it took her a while using things like social media to try to get that pulled down out of Amazon and Goodreads, and perhaps other places as well. And so the thing is that AI was used against her. Now, I want you to understand something. We are still in the infancy, or at least at the very oldest, the toddler stage of AI. Now, it's been around for a while. It depends upon your definition of AI. AI stands for artificial intelligence. I believe, and you're free to disagree with me, I believe that Google search is AI in its simplest form. Yahoo search, any search engine, is AI in its simplest form. What is it going out doing? Is it going out and pulling out facts? You ask a question and it brings out the facts to present to you. Now, in its rawest, more simplest form, your search engines act as a form of AI. You could even go back further than that. You can go back before the advent of computers. But we'll just satisfy ourselves with the search engines. I think that gets my point across. AI has been around for a little while. But while it's been around for a little while, it is still, as far as the literary area is concerned, in its infancy. And it is already super strong. It's sort of like in mythology, you have these giants, and they're born big, born not only big but strong. Well, that's what AI looks like to me. It's a very strong, very powerful. Um, I'm going to use the word entity. You might disagree with that term for this, but I'm going to call it an entity. But the thing is strong. It came out, it made its first appearance strong. Now, I relate back to it, the old science fiction movies such as Star Trek, that TV series, or Star Wars, the movies. And they had AI, and in fact, in Star Trek, actually had a character called Data, who was a good example of AI. Futuristic, yes, but now we've jumped from that to reality today. AI is fast becoming a force. You constantly are reading of robots that they're developing, and they're using AI. They're advancing AI. It teaches itself and learns. And so AI is super, super powerful. And so you got to be careful. You got to tread lightly. So back to the plot here. You can use AI to help you develop a plot. Now, I have no problem with you using AI to help you. That's a key word. Publishers are using the word assist. Same idea. Did you use AI to assist you? The follow-up question of that, if you say yes, and I haven't, because I haven't been using AI like that, but other than, like I said, the search engines, they might then say, well, how did you use it? In what way did you use it? How did you apply it? Things of this nature. They might very well ask you. And that's just going into their source of information. They are developing a response, and it's going to be based on how you answer those questions. The other question is, if you used AI, did you use it to write your story? There comes that Jane Friedman thing. So they know about that story, and there are probably other stories very similar to it. And so what they're doing is they're saying, we are watching this. You've seen the story where they go like this. I don't know if I got it down right, but the idea is, I'm watching you. Well, the publishers have to have their eyes on this, because if there's a lawsuit against you, it's going to be against them as well. And so they have to protect themselves, and so they're going to be watching the development of AI. And if you're using AI, they want to know why. They want to know how. They're not going to necessarily say you can't do something. What they're going to say, they're going to be doing is watching to make sure that you are using it correctly. And they may very well check and verify your material. You should be checking and verifying your material, even as early as the plot. Character development. Is this coming out of your mind, or is AI coming up and creating a character for you? So where did they get that character? Where did they get the ideas? Is this just some new thing? Or did they steal somebody else's character from somebody else's book? See, you see where I'm going with this? AI is amoral. It has no morals. It's not evil, and it's not good. It's amoral. And it does not well, I may understand it, maybe it will say it back in words, but having a clear understanding of what's right and wrong, it doesn't. All it knows is you've asked a question, it's going to provide an answer, and it will use any means at its disposal to answer that question, even if it means creating documents to prove their point. And so when you do research, which I have down here, you do research and it comes back with an answer and gives you references, you'd be wise to check and verify those references. Why? It could be fake. You click on it and it goes to, you get back on 404 or something like that where, sorry, that page doesn't exist. It very well could be that is not just a broken link, but that is something that was created by AI for the purpose of the story. And so you don't want that in your books. So if you check and verify something and it comes up that this doesn't exist, then you're going to say to the author, I checked this out and that reference doesn't exist. I would like you to do some search on your own, make sure you see if you can find it. But if you can't find it, then you need to take it out. Or if it's maybe a word misspelled or something like this, correct it so you get the right reference. So check and verify. When you're building a character, you want it to be original to your story. Now, if you're writing something, say there are the Star Trek books out there, what they do is they hire different people. I don't know if how they go about it or anything, but they hire different people to write different versions of Star Trek or Star Wars. And so if you read those books, you'll notice that they have been cleaned up and there's it's written on a child's level, so a child could understand them. And that doesn't mean an adult can't read them and enjoy them, but it has been lowered as far as the characteristics are concerned, so that a child can understand them of a certain age, can understand them and enjoy them. And so that's not wrong. What I'm saying is that your AI might go into one of those, let's say Star Wars, and pull a character out of there and use it in the book. Now, if you're writing a Star Wars associated book, that's fine. But if you're writing something else that has nothing to do with Star Wars, no official affiliation with them, then that could very well be a copyright issue. And so you got to be careful. Check and verify. Same thing with scenes. You can have a scene in there, and some book might exist out there that scene actually appeared in word for word, and AI went and found it. Hey, use this. Makes it sound like it's original, but actually you're using somebody else's words. Now, you could take that same scene and restructure it in your own words or your own style, and then it's okay. But if you're using the style, the wording and so forth of that original scene, it could be a copyright issue. Chapters, same thing. Check and verify. You're going to hear me use that to, not only have I used it already several times, but several times more probably in this episode. Now, I have put down here some areas in which AI can be a help, but you got to be careful. Ideas. That comes up right up to your idea of a plot, actually, the concept. But within the story, you might have ideas. Different scenes, you might have different ideas. Is that idea original with you, or is it original with AI? And if it's original with AI, where did they get it? Did it create it out of nothing? Unlikely. But it may have pulled different things together to create or form that idea. And that's fine if that's what it did. But if it went out and stole somebody else's idea and then presented it as something new in your book, then that is going to be a copyright issue. Same thing with themes. Now, I will say this about themes. Themes or plots, either way you want to look at it, they have a relationship there. But they go back all the way back in history. You can go back to the days of after, even before Rome, Greek, back to ancient Greece, and they had plays, and they would put on, and they had plots or themes. If you turn your TV on, and you watch a story, it's possible, may not happen very often, but it's possible that you have say you've watched 3 shows. It is possible all 3 shows have the same theme. The title of the show is different. The city the show takes place is different. The characters are different. Everything is different except for the plot itself. The overall plot, the original concept, not the details, but the overall plot itself or theme itself. So that's fine. There are only so many plots out there, and they get used and used and reused, and they get reused throughout history, and that is fine. It's when you get into the details, you get into the weeds, so to speak. That's when you run into problems. So don't get carried away with this on the themes and plots. When you're big, you got the big broad brush, you can do things that you can't do when you get down to that finer brush and you start painting in those details. Research. You hear me talk about research all the time. I believe in research. I use research. I write fiction and I write nonfiction. Both require research. Now, for nonfiction, I give references. And so I have to go and look up those references and read them, and I'll extract information out of those references. And I put those references in there. I don't use footnotes anymore because some of your online publishers don't like footnotes because sometimes they involve references that take you to a page that's considered a competitor. And so they're not going to publish you. I've run into that myself. And so I stopped using footnotes, and now I put the references right in the content itself. And so it makes it a little bit more difficult on my part, but it's still there for the reader, so the reader can go and look it up. And so you want them to look it up. If you're doing a nonfiction, that's the whole purpose of putting a reference in there. Not just to look good, you want them to go and look it up and do their own little study, and they can go as deep as they want. So it's a very valuable tool for research. AI can go in and save you a lot of time. But my idea here is to check and verify. You have references, check and verify. Check and verify. Get that down. That's something you got to think. If you're using AI, check and verify. I don't care what it is you're talking about. If AI is involved, check and verify. And you should be doing that anyhow for even your personal, like what I was just talking about. When you go in yourself, that's exactly what you're doing. You're going and you're finding, and you're reading it, checking it out, and then verifying it. And they may use references that you might want to check out. So ideas, themes, research, and you can go on from there. I have this there, stop and verify. It's a little bit different than check, but it's the same idea. Check and verify. That's the phrase I want you to memorize, to focus on. Check and verify. And if when you're verifying it does not pan out, then take it out. Or if you're a publisher like me, then you go back to the author and say, I checked this out, and this and this is a problem. If you're quoting them, if you're using them, did you get their permission? And so on and so forth. And so you want them, because it could have, the author is checking a lot of stuff and something might slip by. So the publisher and author are working together. Indie authors, publishers such as myself, is actually working for the author and wants that author to succeed and not get in any trouble while doing that. So check and verify. That is an important concept for you to remember. Plot, characters, scenes, chapters, ideas, themes, and research. And there's other topics you could go into too as well. But I just want you to know, yes, AI is a useful tool for content. We'll continue this study in another episode.